Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you a lesson for 15.1. It's all about numerical patterns and the patterns that numbers can have with each other. To start off, I'm going to give you this problem. Think about it as I read it. Miss Evans has a basil plant that is 3 inches tall. She also has a rosemary plant that is 5 inches tall. If each plant grows 1.5 inches every week, how tall will the plants be after 4 weeks? Well, we know two things. We know she has a basil plant and a rosemary plant. We know that the basil plant is 3 inches tall, and we know that the rosemary plant is 5 inches tall. And we know that they're tracking their growth for 4 weeks and that they're growing 1.5 inches every week. So I'm going to go ahead and display my data in a table. I'm going to keep track of the weeks. The basil, the height of the basil, I should say, and the height of the rosemary. Okay, so we know at the very start, the basil was 3 inches tall, and the rosemary was 5 inches tall. And then we're tracking it for 4 weeks. So we have week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Okay, and how much is it growing each week? That's right, you're adding 1.5 inches per week. Okay. So we're gonna add 1.5 to 3. So remember, 3 can also be written as 3.0 plus 1.5. Well, now by week 1, it is 4.5 inches. Okay, let's add another 1.5. Okay, by week 2, it is 6 inches. Let's add another 1.5. It's now went up to 7.5 inches. And by week 4, it has made its way up to 9 inches. Okay, so the basil plant starts at 3 and ends off at 9. But let's see the rosemary plant. So
Tell me green.
5 plus that 1.5.
Let me use back.
Is 6.5. So by week 1, it's 6.5 inches. We're gonna add 1.5 again. So by week 2, it's now at 8 inches tall. I'm gonna add 1.5 more. So by week 3, it's 9.5 inches tall. And by week 4,
Mom, my color will drop.
wow, it's made its way to 11 inches tall. So here's our data. By week 4, the basil will be 9 inches tall and the rosemary will be 11 inches tall. And now we want to take this one extra step. We want to look at the relationship between the two. Okay, so we're going to look at the basil and the rosemary. The rosemary started off at 5 inches and the basil started off at 3 inches. So what was the difference? Well, if the rosemary was 5 inches and the basil was 3 inches, then there's 2 inches between them. Is that the same with everything? Let's see. 6.5 and 4.5. Is 6.5 minus 4.5 2? Let's see. It sure is. Let's see the difference between 8 and 6. It's 2. What about the difference between 9.5 and 7.5? It's 2. What about the difference between 11 and 9? It's 2. So the rosemary will always be 2 inches taller than the basil. That's the relationship. And the basil will always be 3 inches shorter. So we want to say the relationship that they have in common. The rosemary will always be 2 inches taller than the basil. The basil will always be 2 inches shorter than the rosemary. Okay, so we're looking at the relationships between numbers and the patterns that they have, and we're using data tables to help us organize that information.